show your support for the Untold Radio Network family of shows and join in on the conversation by using super stickers and super chats on YouTube. Got a question you want answered? Ask it live via a super chat and get real-time responses from our show's knowledgeable hosts and guests. Help keep the Untold Radio Network shows running strong. We need your support. Send your super chats and stickers now.
Never believe fully in anybody else's BS. I don't care if it's Roger Nish, the Pope, L. Ron Hubbard, Al Gore, George Bush, or I don't care who it is. Don't swallow all their belief system totally. Don't accept all of their bullshit, all their BS. The second rule is like unto the first. Don't believe totally in your own BS, which means that, as Bucky Fuller said, the universe consists of non-simultaneously apprehended events. Non-simultaneously. The universe consists of non-simultaneously apprehended events, which means any belief system or reality tunnel you've got right now is going to have to be revised and updated as you continue to apprehend new events later in time, not simultaneously. This is the natural functioning of the human brain. It's the way children's brains perform before they're wrecked by the school system. It's the way the minds of all great scientists and artists work. But once you have a belief system, everything that comes in either gets ignored if it doesn't fit the belief system, or it gets distorted enough so that it can fit into the belief system. You got to be continually revising your map of the world.
And I tell you what, that's what we've been doing. We have been continuously revising. All right, welcome to
the map of our
55.
world, that's for sure, absolutely.
My name's Jay Katz, and I'm joined each week by my extraordinary wife, Aspasia. How are you?
I'm very well.
We look like we're tearing a bit here because we are shooting this last minute. We've had the busiest week on record.
Have, but hey.
And a few of our
that's all part of it.
Our subjects have dropped out at the last minute yet again, but we are moving to a whole great series of new interviews.
Well, everybody's busy with stuff, you know.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So,
the end of the year, it's amazing how quickly that whole Christmas exploitation hits, isn't it?
It's pretty freaky when you've got Christmas stuff out at Halloween time.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway.
We have to say every week with them, we are broadcasting on stolen land of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and we wish to acknowledge and pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Episode 55 of Down South Anomalies. Peaceful disclosure, as in a peaceful of disclosure.
Yes, a peaceful.
Or a fistful of puzzles, playing on the old Sergio Leone.
Fistful of dollars.
Yep. What a week it has been in ufology.
Wow.
What a week it has been in the world of the anomalous. And lots of things are happening. Freaky things are happening.
Yes, they are.
Now, in the last year or so, we have been looking back on the history of ufology.
Well, we have, for this podcast. So we've been digging through our old files, old documentaries, old research papers and stuff. And we've come across so much stuff now that actually starting to make sense with new information that we have now. So we were looking at things back in the day, things that were coming out then, and they were seeming a bit strange or weird or like a bit really left of centre. But we were still not totally discounting them because, they're narratives that belong somewhere. We just didn't know where they belonged.
You know what? The tripwire for us this week was going back over two documentaries that we originally watched, but we hadn't watched as intensely as we did this week.
That's right.
And those documentaries are from two of the greatest independent researchers we could ever ask for in the field of the world of the anomalous. One of them is David Paulides.
That's right.
And he, of course, is the person behind the missing 411 research and phenomena, an incredible series of books, cluster maps, and profound independent documentaries. And the other one is the maestro himself, James Fox.
Yes, Out of the Blue, I Know What I Saw, and
Phenomena and Moment of Contact.
Yes.
And at the moment, I believe, in production on the incredible case out of South Africa in the mid-90s with the Ariel School there, where you had literally an entire playground of 60 children, sort of mirrors the Westall case
Yes, it
here in
does.
Sydney, Australia. And in the midst of that, but he has some very distressing news, and we'll discuss that.
Yeah.
He said by the end of this week, which of course we're in the future here in Sydney, we are a day ahead, and maybe that information will come out today or tomorrow in the US.
Yeah.
He reckons he has been under some sort of incredible legal strife that has never threatened his career more than at this point in time. It's been going on for 6 months. We'll get to his statement about that. I think in many ways, let's have a look at a bit of a metaphor about all this.
Yes.
Now, the National War Fund, remember, if you or a loved one spot a UFO, it's only a weather balloon.
Yeah, but now they're saying if you or a loved one spot a UFO, contact us.
And they're saying now if you spot a UFO,
well, a UAP
or a weather balloon,
yeah,
tell us and we'll shoot it down. We'll spend millions of dollars to shoot down a weather balloon. Isn't it so absurd?
I know.
I think the greatest information for me at the moment is an incredible podcast we've been waiting for a couple of weeks now.
We have.
By independent researcher
Timothy
Alberino.
Yeah.
And you've got, Timothy Alberino is the latter-day Indiana Jones. How handsome is this guy? How stylistic is this guy? But how much integrity this incredible man has.
So we watched this podcast yesterday.
Well, the truth is, he's the only one that has actually got the guts, the balls, and the community behind him to actually go down to San Antonio.
Yeah, to go to
Peru,
the village,
and have so much integrity that he actually took down a team with him.
Yes.
A friend of his that was ex-SAS.
Yeah, SAS.
SAS. SAS. What am I saying?
I don't know. What are you saying?
I think I'm going back to that incredible song I was DJing out by Miss X. I'm slipping up there. Anyway, they have gone down to that village. They've taken supplies. They've taken food.
Yeah.
They've taken technology.
Yes.
And they have assisted.
They're helping the villagers to actually get themselves organized.
Yeah.
To patrol, and the podcast it's hilarious when he talks about. Well, it's not hilarious. It's actually quite sad, saying that all the people, they're patrolling their village because of what's going on down there with these, whatever these things are. But you actually get a real sense of what they are, because he goes in and he interviews anyone and everyone that saw these things, these beings, these, whatever they are. And the face peelers, interviewed the young girl that got attacked by them.
She was the initial report that went out. And that's fascinating, because they take her into situ. They actually take her into the area behind that house
where she was attacked,
where this being came flying down on this platform.
Yeah.
Look, what we're looking at here is incredibly advanced technology.
It is. You seriously need to go to this.
We're going to put a link up. Yeah. It's about an hour and 50 minutes, but
you need
no
to
one
go and listen to it.
You know what? We're living in a world of armchair researchers. This guy puts his money where his mouth is.
Yeah.
He's got great links into the community.
He does.
I think there's a bit of Christian funding behind him. So what? I mean, the most brilliant thing is that these people are actually united, and they went down and they trained.
They trained the villagers to actually, patrol properly, so they're not.
The weapons were frightening.
The weapons
were, and they were so initially afraid when they got to the village. There were so many rifles pointed at
their
them.
heads.
And these rifles were held together with Scotch tape and bits of electrical wiring
and coat hangers, hanger wiring. It's just insane. But anyway, they've organised them. They've set them up. They've showed them how to patrol properly, like in a grid fashion, so they don't miss bits and patrolling the same area all the time.
They purchased the most powerful flashlights and they could give them, and also
infrared
night vision binoculars that they can record with.
Yeah. So hopefully they'll be able to. And these people are seriously under siege by whatever these things are. They've shot at them. They seem to be impervious to any kind of weaponry from the villagers. So I don't know, and they don't sound like they're cartel. They're not mine. Some sort of miners. They're not drug people. They're just other. They really are other.
And he has a great checklist at the end in his summation
of what they know and what they don't know.
Going through, this is not a cartel. These are not people looking to go onto the illegal organ market. But he does say they are face pilling.
They
quite
definitely
frightening.
Yeah.
So a lot of that has happened and been tucked away by the press. Now we, of course.
So that's Timothy Alberino.
Yes, let's go to his book. Just show his book there. I haven't read his book.
No, we have not.
And look, I think he's worthy to search out. And I think after this, everyone should go and at least thumbs up and subscribe to his own personal cast. It's up on YouTube. He's certainly got enough material. Punch him into Google, you'll find him on the web. But as I said, we will put a link so you can directly go there after this
and
podcast.
You can find out all the information.
And it's the truth, isn't it? Finally, it's not second, third, fourth, fifth
hand reports.
We have the right person with incredible integrity in situ.
Interviewing the people that are experiencing this phenomena. And you really get a really good sense of what's going on.
At the very end of the day, they take the young girl who initially was the first person that clicked this off into this press frenzy that happened in the Western world. And it looks like she is suffering pretty extreme post-traumatic stress disorder.
2 7-foot guys on hovering platforms grab you and try to rip your face off.
Well, they actually didn't. They actually covered her face in a cream that made it incredibly numb.
I know.
And then the next step was what's going to happen here. Excuse me, a bit croaky.
With some sort of a laser thing. Well, it's all there.
Watch the podcast.
Yeah.
But what he did is not just extraordinary what they took into that village, which is a very small village. I think it's less than 100 people in that village.
Yeah, something like 97 or
but the other thing is this phenomenon is happening all across the region, and it's happening in heavily populated city areas just as frequently as it is happening in the villages. So this notion of us thinking they're using remote areas to exploit it,
it's not.
It's just, it is so profound what's happening down there, and does make you wonder about those military operations with the US and the government down there.
Yeah, but these aren't military guys. That's
no.
Yeah.
But in terms of like, are they observing what's occurring down there?
All right.
It's an extraordinary moment. Can you roll down to the vision? The one thing that astounds me about them, and I was going to restate this, is they actually paid for that girl's therapy. So they have incredible integrity. Now, as much as everything new seems to have changed, and we're on the point of like this.
No, everything old is new again.
Yeah, well, I always get it wrong. We're on the point of this event horizon. Let's have a look at what J. Allen Hynek, who was the first person employed, the major astrophysicist there with Project Blue Book, when he had that double somersault backflip in the early 70s and created the Center for UFO Studies.
Having started
I mean, what he's saying here now is what we're hearing today.
I thought that reports were confined largely to the United States, and that we were undergoing some sort of a bizarre nervous reaction. But their reports have come in now from better than 70 countries. And also, scientists are beginning to take a closer look, because the sheer force of the sheer weight, I should say, of the numbers of reports is demanding attention.
It always has. And that's the incredible thing that eludes most people, is that if you are naive to this subject matter, you do not realize how much information is in the public domain.
Exactly.
When people keep screaming for disclosure, it's literally absurd. Every eyewitness, no matter who they are, every report is a piece of the puzzle.
Hence,
it's a piece
Pieceful,
of disclosure.
Yeah, exactly.
But before we get to that and talk about those two films we watched and go into this extraordinary epiphanous hypothesis that has hit us, let's have a look at what I think is one of the most important filmmakers in the field and what's happening to him right at this moment.
Intel folks, and I've gotten a number of them on camera already, and they're disclosing the names of the programs, the names of the individuals involved with the programs, the locations of these programs. In fact, if you get me the classifications, I can walk you in the door. So if the government is not going to release it, we're going to release this.
He's been working on a new UFO documentary. He recently posted this.
Hello, everybody. I've been holding something in for the last 6 months, dealing with career-related issues, likes of which I've never experienced in my entire life. So challenging, it feels like someone's trying to extinguish my career. It's pretty terrifying. I'll probably be going public with it later this week. For legal reasons, I can't discuss it right now, but I wanted to give you all a heads up and thank you for all your support. It means the world to me.
He also said, "We'll make a full announcement as soon as I'm able, but I can say that if I did what's being done to me, I'd go straight to jail." Unbelievable what these execs can get away with. This new direction in his work seems to be attracting unwanted attention and potential dangers.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That is quite frightening when you think about it.
So that was from May, but
no.
It started in May, and then
he
now
made that. He's only made that statement in the last week.
Yes,
but what he was saying in May could be
Right.
an indicator of the blowback he's getting.
From that. That's
so
right. Yep.
the blowback may be very careful when you say that you're about to walk people into the door on this subject matter.
Mm-hmm.
As we know from Ross Coldheart, from Ralph Blumenthal, from Leslie Keane or Kane, depending on how you pronounce it.
And everybody else that came before them.
There are many other whistleblowers that have backed away and would not go in front of Congress.
Have been threatened.
They've backed away. They've been threatened. So just when you think you're getting the light.
Yeah.
And that's why.
Or you're going to break it.
Yeah. That's why I feel like
you get the carpet pulled out from under you every time.
Yeah,
every time.
That sort of behavior historically, especially
it is that 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
But the other thing is we all need to realize that we all hold a piece of disclosure in this puzzle close in our hearts. We're all looking at this from our particular reality tunnels.
Yes.
And one thing we need to do in the field is actually stop dishing and throwing shade on other researchers if their perspectives are different to yours. Just let it
That's
go.
Okay. That can be okay. That's okay.
The best research you can.
Yeah.
And then you know what? In the field of ufology, which can be so esoteric, so crazy at times.
Yeah. And so it doesn't make any sense.
It's best to not go in there with judgment. It's best to actually keep your mind open. I keep going back to cases years later. How about this little piece of archival news?
Patrol car Delta 9 with PC Roger Willie and PC Clifford Waycott, based at Oakhampton, were out on night duty patrolling the A3072, Hatherley to Holsworthy Road. Precisely 1 minute past 4 o'clock this morning, they sighted an object 400 yards away from them and at treetop level. They reported immediately to Oakhampton Police Station, where further men were brought out. PC Willie, you were driving the patrol car at the time. Can you describe it to us?
Well, the object was likened unto a cross, although the inner parts were something similar to the points of a compass, and they were quite blurred, the inner part of the cross.
But it was brilliant white, brilliant light.
How in fact did you see it? I mean, did it make any kind of noise to you?
No, there was no noise. The first time we saw it was when it was just above treetop height and ahead of us. And from then, Consul Willie just said, "Here we go then," and we drove off after it, if you know what I mean.
What kind of speed were you travelling at?
We were travelling very fast.
Did it make any kind of sound?
No sound that I heard at all. There was no outside noise apart from the noise of the car itself.
And the acceleration away from us was terrific. So really, we didn't get under it to hear any sound.
But you were really close enough to be absolutely certain that your eyes weren't fooling you?
Oh yes, it was just in front of us.
There was no question whatsoever that this was a figment of the imagination. It was definitely there. It was definitely either manned by some sort of being or remotely controlled. It was definitely being controlled to view our car or...
You had the feeling that it was watching you?
Definitely, yes.
Isn't
Yeah.
that incredible
Yeah.
when you think about it? I mean, you can't get better eyewitnesses than police whose career is going to go down the gurgler if they're out there.
Let's go back, Lonnie Zamora.
Exactly, Sicaro.
How many police have come out and spoken?
How many pilots? How many radar operators?
How many people do you need? How many times? It's like
we don't need a government to disclose. We know.
Only one of these cases has to be real. Out of the tens of thousands of cases over the years, only one of them has to be real.
That's all we've ever needed.
But we've got so much evidence there already. And here's the thing. Again, everybody's got pieces of puzzles, yet they're holding on to them instead of laying them all down together. And the scientific community coming in, especially now that they know so much more than we did 20, 30, 40 years ago,
exactly.
50, 60, 70 years ago, right, since Roswell. It's like we're so far ahead in our knowledge that we need to stop, poo-pooing these stories, and science needs, Hynek was saying it back then, scientists are coming aboard. Not enough scientists are coming on board. And when some of them do, then they get ridiculed by the rest. And there is a concerted effort out there by governments to keep this stuff quiet. And why is that? Why do you think that would be?
So the David Grush story came out in the New York Times by the incredible author Leslie Kean and Ralph Blumenthal.
Mm-hmm.
Ralph, actually, there's a statement I've made as sort of writing here that they said, what drew you into this subject matter? I mean, you're a credible researcher. You've looked into Watergate. You've looked into all these great subjects of inquiry. And, he stated that there is nothing more important to be covered or more sensational than what this story is. That there are other intelligences in the universe. What happens after we die, or where is God?
Yeah. Or what is God?
I think other intelligences in the universe, what is God is more appropriate.
Yeah.
What happens after we die? Well, when we come back from the break, I think they're all connected.
Hey, Untold Radio Network fans. Want exclusive perks and to support our channel? Introducing our YouTube membership program with 3 amazing levels. Get loyalty badges that level up to different cryptids the longer you're a supporter. How cool is that? You'll also get access to custom Bigfoot emojis and priority in chat. Upgrade to Backstage Pass for exclusive wallpapers, photos, status updates, discounted books, and merchandise. Go all in with the producer level for everything mentioned, plus member shoutouts. Ready for an enhanced experience? Join now, pick your membership level, and let's make this journey even more exciting together.
Yeah, let's make it way more exciting together. One thing that's always excited us is the maverick outsider, the artist, the author, the filmmaker. Well, we're going to speak about primarily 2 astounding filmmakers, but our first one is the profound American researcher David Paulides and his research into the missing 411 phenomena.
Yeah.
And look, most people would be well aware of what that phenomena is, and our heart must reach out to Paulides and his family. They've gone through a lot recently with the death of his beautiful son, Ben, and with his colleague. Don't move through them too quickly. I wanted to speak about that first film and his colleague, Scott Carpenter.
Yeah.
So he is an incredible man. You can go up Can-Am on YouTube, search that out, buy the books directly from his own site. So I suggest what you do is you navigate out there, but we'll put a link at the bottom in the notes to Can-Am and to his site.
Canadian American.
He's actually stated, don't go near Amazon. They are hiking them up badly.
God, hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And
but the only problem is if you're in Australia, you actually can't purchase his books. But we purchased them through a friend in the States, sent them the money.
Well, you might be able to now if you have a look. He's also setting up a whole new series of casts on Rumbler.
Right.
So check that out as well. Just go to his YouTube channel,
yeah,
which is Can-Am Project.
Yep.
And it's really important that you actually look at his recent casts. It is so top heavy with information. He actually came to Australia and did some research
He did.
in our Blue Mountains village, didn't he? A couple of hours away.
He investigated 2 cases, one in the Warringah Manly area.
That's right.
The national park there, and the other one up in the Blue Mountains.
So this man is not only prolific in his writing, his research, his filmmaking, his art, but he also travels the world.
He does.
And does the research. So you really got to give him incredible respect. These films are independently funded, and they're just getting more and more profound.
I love the way he actually started off, because he's Missing 411. First one was just laying out
no hypothesis,
just
what
all
it was,
the details,
was
all
the accumulation of the cases
evidence,
and the data.
just the evidence.
If you had the modicum of common sense, you would actually begin to see consistencies.
Well, you would walk away going, okay, there's something really weird going on here.
Yeah.
You know, there's definitely something strange.
Consistencies from case to case.
Yes,
things
absolutely.
that meant they weren't misadventure.
No,
they weren't abduction.
But that's what I'm saying, that there's something really weird going on here.
Yeah. Okay. So where these films start is with Missing 411. And then they actually, you can move through.
Yeah. The next
one
was The Hunted.
Missing 411, primarily it would be difficult to unravel that there was any sort of peripheral paranormal activity happening there. They were just really curious cases.
Yes.
But when we get to The Hunted,
well, The Hunted
it
one
was certainly in
weird.
there. And it was with our incredible optical physicist from the Maccabee and his wife.
And we stepped into predator territory then, didn't we?
Well, maybe explain about that, because that imagery just occurs so often, doesn't it?
It does. Well, so what Bruce Maccabee's wife, on her iPhone, managed to capture some sort of
it was
cloaked.
cloaking.
It was something that was cloaked in the trees. So I mean, as soon as I saw it, I was like, Predator is one of my favorite films.
Really?
I know, it's a guilty pleasure, but anyway.
You have a very
but
big
the best one
bone.
is Alien versus Predator, even better.
Really?
But anyway, yeah, I love that. That one's just gold. Anyway, back to reality. Which crosses over into this science fiction fantasy. Now it is with the
certainly does
411. So definitely check out. And the Hunted one was, about hunters, people that have lived know the bush, go out in the wilderness, hunt animals, know it like the back of their hand, don't take silly chances, don't do, stupid things. There's no way that they're going to get lost out there. They know how to survive if they do, and they're able to get themselves out of jams. And, these people, highly trained in this, in their pastime, in their passion, have gone missing, just disappeared off the face of the earth. And not just missing, but like just disappeared off the face of the earth.
Now, I mean, The Hunted was quite astounding, because he's been very smart in terms of like just keeping that research and the information he's doing for you as the public to start to make your own consensus as to what it is, your own hypothesis.
Yeah.
But as we said at the end of The Hunted, you were sort of going there by the stark evidence, the extraordinary thing, and then he smashes it out of the ballpark with this one. He really does. What a film. And how beautifully is this film edited, shot, graded, but also the profound nature of the case material
just the
in here
information is just
absolutely incredible. And one of the things that struck us was he actually went back to, like Mr. Dennett there, he went back to a case that a lot of people would call a contactee case. One of the cases that are most ridiculed in the field.
Yes.
And showed us such extraordinary proof that there could be so much more to this case. So can we see now if we can actually get a bit of information up on this Carl Higdon case?
Oh, the Carl Higdon case from 1974.
Yeah, let's see.
Carl Higdon is the foreman of an oil rig in Rawlins, Wyoming. He's been at the same job for 15 years, working 6 days a week to support a family of 7. His crew refers to him as the Wyoming Coyote. because of his feisty determination to get the job done against all odds. An experienced woodsman with a love for the hunt, he looks forward to those days he can retreat into the forest. However, one October morning in 1974 was to be different from all other days. Carl recreates the events as he remembers them.
I went to pick up my crew to go to work, and one of them was sick, so we couldn't work. So I came back to the house and decided I'd go hunting. So I decided to go on down into the forest, and I hunted down there until, it must have been around 4 o'clock. So I walked down over this hill. Whenever I got over the hill, I seen these 5 elk standing down there. One of them was a big bull, so I raised my gun to shoot.
Then, something happened beyond his range of experience. Carl blacked out. When he regained consciousness, he was aware that an undetermined period of time had elapsed and that he had lost touch with reality. He stumbled through the forest in a dazed condition, trying desperately to figure out where he was and how he could get help. By 8 in the evening, Marjorie Higdon became alarmed when her husband hadn't returned. She called for a search party.
Hello, Marilyn? Yes, this is Margie. Carl's not in from hunting yet, and I was wondering if you guys could take me out and look for him. Yeah, I know, but he's not in yet. Yeah, but I don't have a 4-wheel drive. Uh-huh. Well, I don't know. I just feel like I ought to go look for him.
Carl's friends discovered him in a semi-conscious state. They were disturbed by his incoherent ramblings.
What happened? I don't know. You don't know? I don't know. It seems strange. You sure you're all right?
Yeah.
You're not hurting anywhere?
No.
Okay. Get you out of here and get you to the doctor as soon as we can.
Carl was rushed to the emergency ward of the Carbon County Hospital, where he had trouble seeing, hearing, and speaking. Nurse Ella Peterson attended him for 3 days. During that time, he remained mainly in an amnesiac state, unable to recall his own name or recognize his wife. After the incident, life in Rawlins changed for Carl. He was too disoriented to work or function normally. In desperation, he contacted the UFO agency, APRO, who sent Dr. Leo Sprinkle to investigate.
I serve as a consultant in psychology, and my primary interest is working with those people who claim to not only see flying saucers, but also claim to have had some kind of abduction experience or some kind of contact, face-to-face contact with alien beings who are associated with the UFOs. I myself have investigated 23 persons using hypnotic techniques to assist them to recall the experience.
Okay, let yourself relax deeply and go right back to that same deep concentration, that same deep relaxation. Let the muscles relax. Let yourself know that you can breathe deeply and easily as you look at the spot.
Sometimes these people have a loss of time experience, an amnesic period, which occurs during the UFO sighting, and then later they check their watches and find out that they have lost some time, which they cannot account for. And these cases are most exciting and interesting because it suggests the possibility that the persons have been taken on board, have been examined, and then released, and have been told that they will not remember what has happened.
A fire. The bullet don't look right. There's somebody. Strange. He wants me to go with him. Lights are bright. Lights are... I can't keep my eyes open. I can't see. They look like me. Same features. He said the sun burns them. He's gonna take me back.
Just let yourself go back inside the cubicle. What happens inside the cubicle?
Oh. Can't get in, there ain't no door.
Do you know how you get in?
No. We're above the trees. I can see pretty good. The ball looks like a basketball, but it's got a blue gray outline. It's kind of dark. No lights. There's the lights again. We're back.
In the investigation of a case, Dr. Sprinkle attempts to establish an abductee's credibility.
Shock condition.
He closely questioned Nurse Peterson to determine Carl's condition immediately following the incident.
He kept his eyes closed most of the time, saying that they hurt quite a bit. And other than that, why, he had no complaints of pain.
Use both arms for me. This first detachment goes across your upper abdomen.
In order to corroborate the story, he arranged for a polygraph exam to be administered.
Regarding whether or not you actually had that UFO experience in question, do you intend to answer truthfully each question to that? Yes. Did you ride in that spacecraft you described to me? Yes.
In my own personal opinion, I find with the cases I've investigated that there seems to be no evidence of hoax. There seems to be no evidence of a psychotic reaction which has caused the individual to falsely believe that he or she has had an abduction, so that I'm left with the mysterious and sometimes uncomfortable feeling that the cases are happening as the individuals describe. That is, that they are being taken on board, examined, and released by intelligent beings who, for their own reasons, are engaging in these experiences.
Carl managed to work through a traumatic incident that he had been unable to live with. With the help of Dr. Sprinkle, he no longer was haunted by nightmares. He no longer doubted his own sanity. The abduction experience was resolved to his own satisfaction, and Carl resumed his work with a new vigor.
It don't make a hill of beans to me whether anybody believes it or not. I know what happened to me. If people want to take it at face value, that's fine. If they don't, it don't make me any difference. The only thing I'm saying is if this does happen to anybody else, what they ought to do is talk to somebody about it, not to hold it inside and try to conquer it themselves because
Good
it
on you,
can't be
Carl.
done, I don't think. I don't think
Because
our
there's
mind
the
can
problem.
take it. As far as the
I think you can remove that
experience
now, I
happening to
suppose.
me, I think if it hadn't been for Dr. Sprinkle, I probably would have been in an institution by now.
And that's the brilliance of the late, great Leo Sprinkle.
That's right.
And, you know, this is a case, for all intensive purposes, that could be ridiculed extremely easily.
Well,
but it was a feature of
this
that
happened in
incredible
1974.
documentary.
That's
and
right.
They're both still alive, the wife and Carl.
So David Paulides goes and interviews Carl now, or when he made UFO contact,
UFO connection.
Connection. Missing 411. And his story, he's so much. He's got so much more details now. He's able to give you so much detail. He's got the bullet that he shot at this.
Did it hit some sort of force field?
Force field and crumpled.
Deformed in a very strange way. He was not even seeing a classic saucer. He was seeing a transparent cube
that he got into. Yeah, it's just the story was wild back then, but now actually makes a lot more sense.
And you know what? There is so much fear associated with these cases.
I know.
And his case is profound because he was a very early victim of tuberculosis.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And he found out after
when he
medically
came back,
that his tuberculosis scarring of the lung was no longer there.
Yeah, that's
so for this whole notion of like benevolent.
Yeah.
I think we really have to reevaluate that. Anyway, Paulides has definitely published a plethora of literature. We haven't got all of it here.
No.
But if you can move through that.
Yes, I can.
Now, we discovered, like David has, and David has these great points, that, you take a sniffer dog into the field and that tracking dog.
Cadaver dogs.
Cadaver dog will not be able to find a scent.
Yeah.
Or if they do find a scent, it just disappears abruptly in the middle of nowhere. But 9 times out of 10, they can't find a scent.
They can't pick up a scent, yeah.
There are many other consistencies.
Weather.
But we've also found that in the entire spectrum of anomalous activity, it's these glaring consistencies.
So,
I know some people might see that as an oxymoron, the anomalous glaring consistencies, but it's the consistencies from case to case that have made us realize now that all these fields are what people would deem esoteric, metaphysical, paranormal,
occult.
There seems to be an incredible similarity.
There is
across UFO research, ghost research, cryptid research, lake monsters, PSI powers, near death, past lives.
Yeah.
And those consistencies we will go into. Can you keep moving through that incredible literature?
Yes, I can.
And as I've said before, go and get yourself, make sure you actually go direct to the source. And also that documentary is on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Don't get it down through a torrent site. Don't get it down from some illegal mounting up in the digital circus. Make sure some of the money goes back to the researcher behind the scenes that did all the hard yards.
Yeah, so he can make more. Yeah. Hunters.
So
the Hunters one, so that was part of the UFO connection.
Yes.
The Hunters one there was a really weird
there's something to do with elks, isn't there?
They were elk hunters.
Don't give away the entire doco. Please.
No, but they were. But it's really, really weird because they were elk hunters. They were hunters, and they all most of them were of German extraction.
That's odd in
That's
itself.
really odd in itself. So I don't know what's going on there, but those ones have disappeared. Carl was brought back.
Yeah.
And why was Carl brought back?
Well, who knows?
I do.
Tell me.
He'd had a vasectomy.
That's right.
And they said to him, we can't use you because you've had a vasectomy. You're going back.
You're no good to us.
No good to us. No sperm. Wow. There
All
you
right.
go.
Let's have a look at where Paulides started, though.
Yeah,
And a lot of
this is
people
where he
mightn't
started.
realise that,
Yeah.
and I'm sure many do,
Mm.
but he'd done some extensive First Nation research
That's right.
into
The
our
Bigfoot.
anomalous hominin,
Yep.
you know?
Yep. Yep.
So
Yep.
check out those books. Check out the work of David Paulides. Go up and support the man himself. Don't go to Amazon and buy the books. Go directly to his site.
Mhm.
Look at Can-Am and, you know, give the man the due respect he deserves. I mean, I was really distressed when I listened to one of his recent podcasts,
Mm.
and he said that he was death threatened
know.
about going to a conference on Bigfoot. I mean, that is
just
totally absurd.
makes no sense.
If we can't work together, even if we've got different perspectives and a hypothesis on what we're dealing with, you know, you cannot take responsibility for someone else's behavior.
No, no.
And your reality tunnel is bound to be different. But the worst thing we can do is avoid the evidence
I know.
that comes forward.
Well, here's the thing, isn't it?
And this is
It's
what's
about
scaring me about what's happening
research.
with James Fox.
Research is about, you know, getting all the pieces of a puzzle,
Yeah.
right? And if you don't have all the pieces, then you've got big glaring
Because they are
holes in
puzzle-
it. They
puzzle
are
pieces.
puzzle pieces, and we have to put it together. And if we don't have all the information, then we're never going to work it out. And the thing is that this is beyond our comprehension, because we haven't been able to work it out in all these decades, in all these centuries, because this stuff's been going on for a long, long time now.
Yeah.
And the only way we're going to do it is if we all come together, we all lay our pieces of puzzles on the table and start to look at them and correlate them, see what's, you know, the same across the board, what things, you know, make, you know, go into what section, and you will be able to see that there's so many different aspects of evidence that actually go across all these phenomena. And we then, I mean, the only conclusion you can come from that is that whatever these things are, they're all interconnected really closely.
All of us that are drawn
Really
to this
closely.
research have
Yeah.
been touched by the phenomenon one way or
Yes,
another.
absolutely.
And we're just looking, we're not necessarily looking for the ultimate answer.
No.
But we are searching. And so
For an explanation of what we've experienced.
and what we need. And, you know, those puzzle pieces could be completely individual to
Mm.
each person that comes along
Yeah.
and illuminate people separately.
Yeah.
Anyway, James Fox scares me as well. It's not only Paulides that's getting a lot of shade thrown on him, but James Fox is going through what sounds like literal hell with the executives. Now, are they the executives behind his latest film production?
Or the
Are they the executives with
branch.
inside the government? Who
Who
knows?
knows? Anyway.
But, you know, this is the documentary that kicked it all off.
For
Probably
him,
one of the
yeah.
most important, validly, meticulously
Yeah.
researched docos. That moment at
Where?
was it Dreamlights Studios, where they actually take the UFO footage and screen it, and they have actually got professionals in the field
Yeah.
looking at it,
Yeah.
and it's just too much to cope with.
Isn't it Lightworks or
Lightworks,
something?
yeah. Thank you so much.
Or DreamWorks?
Yeah.
Something.
No, Lightworks.
Lightworks, okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, I know what I saw, which is
That was- yeah.
incredible documentary.
Yeah.
Phenomenon, which was to be his last sort of tackle into the ufological field. But
That was supposed to
certainly as a-
go. Well, that was supposed to go
have
into
a
the
theatrical
cinemas,
release,
but it didn't
the
happen
pandemic.
because yeah.
And now you can actually watch the latest one on the Virginia case out of Brazil in 1996, which
Now-
is unbelievable.
Well, we remember that case when it was happening in 1996
Yeah.
because it was all over the news. It was actually all over the
Anton,
news.
come here, darling. That's our cat.
Oh God, we should have locked him up.
He has been so good. Well, people haven't heard him for
No, they
ages, so
haven't. We have locked
you know
him up.
So this one now, you can actually go up and watch. If you're okay with adverts, you can watch that for free on Tubi.
Right.
So
okay. Yeah.
really worthy documentary.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Absolutely, because the you know, the three girls that saw this creature, this entity, it was in the town. There's the soldier that actually picked it up physically restrained and picked it up and put it in a car, who ended up dying from whatever it was that was covering its skin. So many people that were part of that operation to capture these two beings, and then apparently they get shipped off to to be put away where they put the ark as well in the States in the big warehouse. I don't know. Anyway, it's a fascinating case. Look, all these people, there's no reason for them to be making up such crazy stories, and there was a huge concerted military effort to capture and get rid of whatever these things were. So something was definite. It wasn't a weather balloon or swamp gas.
No,
for sure.
No. And you know what? I really think at times that this phenomena knows more about us than we know about ourselves.
It does.
And it makes me wonder about the Petri dish hypothesis at times.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
And when you think about the complexity of life on Earth, the complexity of this guy approaching 19 years of age and driving us mad.
Come here, darling.
The complexity of life on Earth. I mean, how many varieties of life are there?
Well, just on this planet.
If we've got glimpses of other realities, other possible dimensions, other ethereal worlds coming through, then why shouldn't the multiplicity of life on Earth be as
prevalent out in space?
Wherever it is.
Well, out there.
So let's take a short breather and come back with our.
That's our end thing.
Oh, is it? Gee whiz! I thought it was a little ad for the ending. Anyway, we won't take a short breather.
God, what are you doing? That's our end titles, our outro.
So I've got written here. It's becoming more and more increasingly difficult to discount the voluminous number of worldwide reports of sightings, encounters, experiences with a vast range of exotic anomalous activity. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of reports. How can you discount that? How can you not see that stuff as disclosure?
And shame on you, science, for relegating this really important, all these important phenomena to the garbage heap.
This phenomena not only dates back especially prolifically in the last 100 to 150 years, but it dates back centuries.
No, it's always been there. And here's the reality. Indigenous cultures have always had room for this stuff.
I think the problem is we're trying to now.
Whereas the West, no.
Well, in the West, we reduce it down to the material world, material science. How can you actually analyze something that may be completely immaterial?
It's immaterial, but you're trying to research it in a material way. Which
so what we do is we either ridicule it or dismiss it. It ends up on the cover of National Enquirer or the Weekly World News.
Yeah, those stories. Yeah, I think if you go back and look at all those stories in the Weekly World News or the National Enquirer, you will.
There'll be more to them than meets the eye.
Absolutely. I mean, I know that they probably sensationalize them to sell, and the headings never help, right? I had an alien. I had, Elvis's baby and stuff like that.
Well,
right?
That's
Yeah,
total exploitation,
I had
tabloid.
Bigfoot's baby, but hey, who's to say he didn't?
Oh, come on, take it easy here. All right.
Well, I mean, who's to say you didn't? I mean, how many people got abducted by, hairy men back in the day in the 1800s, in the 1900s? That the stories were full in the papers back in the day of these people being abducted by hairy men and taken back to their lairs.
Bodgy's story last week. We spoke about Bodgy's story last week in the Pillager's Scrum.
Yeah, right.
I mean, there you go.
Exactly.
Listen, the late, great John Mack, the Harvard psychiatrist, Pulitzer Prize novelist, he made a statement that, and it's such a horror that we lost him at such a young age to the field. He wrote 2 incredible books, and I think Ralph Blumenthal actually wrote a book over many years on John Mack called The Believer.
Yeah.
It's not a question of belief.
No, it's
but John Mack stated that these subjects and these experiences people are having in the Western reductionistic mind think is unacceptable
Yeah,
as reality.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what are some of the glaring consistencies we see across the whole spectrum of anomalous activity,
Yeah.
what you call paranormal,
Mhm.
which Christopher Noel would say is completely normal?
Yeah.
What are some of those major consistencies you see, like David Paulides' plot points for the missing 411?
Mhm.
Well, one of them is olfactory
Oh,
alert.
the olfactory smell. So the sulfur, which is like a rotten egg smell.
Well, Carl spoke
or
about ammonia.
Yep,
Ammonia.
Yep,
And
absolutely.
you certainly get that olfactory alert when you're actually out there researching the parallel hominid.
Absolutely. The skunk ape, the Bigfoot, there's always those smells you can
So that's
smells
number
to
one.
Yeah. Well,
is
that's
that
one of them.
across the whole, I've been looking in
Well,
ghost
in ghost
research,
they
the smell
have
of sulfur,
sulfur
the
and
smell
stuff
of
all the
ammonia.
time. Yep, absolutely.
People, actually get that in UFO
Yeah, they
abduction
do.
cases
Absolutely.
as well.
Yep.
So you've got an olfactory alert that something unusual is occurring.
But somebody actually was saying to me that sulfur is actually the right down on the periodical scale, the
periodic table.
The periodic table, yeah, that chemical. So
what does that mean?
I don't. Oh, what did she say to me? She said something to me, and I totally forgot it now.
Oh,
I thought
gee
that
whiz.
makes sense, but it's
Let's have a look at that. It's like a base element.
Yeah,
we'll have
something
to
like
check
that.
out. Can someone help us out? We're completely
God, we're
naive.
beyond help. I tell you.
Why do you even bring that up when you forget your research? The other one.
I've got so much in my head. Anyway.
The other one is that all these things appear to defy the basic laws we supposedly live by. So the laws of physics.
Our physics.
So
yeah.
the tic-tac there doing
how
maneuvers that are
about-
beyond what we could ever understand.
How about we can say the known physics? So what we know of physics at the moment, there's probably stuff about physics that we don't know yet, right? And so it's doing stuff that we think is magic or impossible, which we actually don't know about that, that part of physics yet.
Yeah.
So we're relegating it to this, it doesn't exist, or it's hokum, or, whatever.
So olfactory alert,
Mhm.
defying the laws of
our known
what-
physics.
Yep.
Of what we know of physics. Yeah.
Number 3, that there's a personal knowing. There's an
There's always-
intuition that you become aware of. It's like that notion that Sheldrake says that he's done all the voluminous research, Rupert Sheldrake.
Yeah.
You can sense when someone's looking at you.
Yeah.
Lots of Bigfoot researchers go, I could feel someone was staring at
watching me.
I was being observed.
Yeah, yeah.
People have this sort of Oz factor that kicks in before UFO abduction experiences, similar to what people
like that,
who
that
are
craft
epileptics
is there for them, that they're actually, they know as soon as they look at it, it's like it knows I'm looking at it, so now it's going to start doing stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Obviously in ghost stuff, it's definitely, it's there for you.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is that, in UFO cases, even in hominid cases and cryptid cases, is that there is a lack of noise. I know in Bigfoot cases, they do get noises, but at times
that's
when you
different
think about
noises.
the size of these creatures and the terrain they're traversing, it is totally absurd that they're able to creep up to you
Well, they're
on
there
tippy
behind,
toes
on you.
and you not actually hear them.
Aware
But
of them.
in the majority of UFO cases, the odd thing is that you've got a massive object hovering or maneuvering around at very
And you
close
can't-
quarters,
and you
and
can't
you
hear
don't hear
anything.
anything.
Yeah.
You're lucky to even hear the displacement of wind.
There's also the one where you're out in nature and then all of a sudden everything goes quiet. Now nature is not
which
quiet
cannot do
because
that. Yeah.
trees and leaves rustling, animal noises, wind and stuff like that. So there's that in both Bigfoot and UFO cases.
Okay, that's number 4. Number 5 is the notion of disorientation,
Oh, right,
altered consciousness,
The Oz
the
factor.
Oz factor,
Yeah.
hypnagogic states
Yeah,
that people
yeah.
start to slip into the. Now, we could say this is a side effect of infrasound,
Who knows?
but it does happen in ufological cases. It happens in ghost cases.
Yeah.
I think the closest thing we can say to that is missing time. The missing time experience
Sure.
occurs as well extensively in these cases.
Yeah.
And, we had a gentleman there tell us there was a moment where he froze and hours later came to his senses.
Yeah.
So that's another interesting aspect. Here's the one that really gets me,
Which
and
one?
it's major in ufology, but it's certainly there in the world of Bigfoot,
Yeah.
Yowie,
Mhm.
and Sasquatch, is its relationship with water.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What is going on there?
Well,
I mean, I actually investigated so many UFO cases in Australia that were around underwater
yes. Yeah.
caverns
Mhm.
and caving, deep
basins,
water
yeah.
springs,
Yep.
primarily around dams in
Yep.
remote areas, inland lakes.
Yep. Yeah.
And there seems to be some incredible relationship. When you go into spectral sightings, when you go into things as absurd as Amityville,
Yeah.
one thing they start to talk about, you'll see it in The Exorcist, is water
Water
coming
dripping.
down the walls in the midst of this activity. So there is an incredible relationship with water. And I think that steps into our next point, which is weather.
Weather,
Now,
yeah.
Paulides will always say that the weather alters with
Yeah,
these cases,
big
and
time.
sometimes extremely.
Mhm.
And in many ways, these are reasons to actually, start to consider maybe there's a connection with all this phenomena.
Mhm.
And I think that's where we go now to our academic Sheldrake.
I'm a biologist by background. I studied biology because I was interested in animals and plants. And when I was studying it at Cambridge, I began to have terrible doubts about what I was doing, because everything that really interested me about animals and plants somehow vanished when I got into the biochemistry laboratories. I was majoring in biochemistry, and I did a PhD in biochemistry there. But there's a curious thing about biochemistry. You're doing biochemistry to study the molecular basis of life. Yet the very first thing you do in the laboratory is kill whatever you're studying, grind it up, extract the enzymes, and then in a test tube study the properties of some of these molecules extracted from this killed organism. And it began to occur to me that perhaps this wasn't the best way to understand life. But I didn't quite know what to do about it, because everybody else thought it definitely was the best way to study life, and in fact there was no other valid way. So this set me thinking, and I began to see that the science of biology could be reformed, that this idea that living organisms are truly alive rather than being just machines. That's the official doctrine. The mechanistic theory says living organisms are just complicated machines. Believe it or not, still the official doctrine of academic biology and academic medicine. These ideas went on developing. I then saw how I could bring them all together in a synthesis and into a new way of seeing how biology could be done. And I wrote a book while still in India called A New Science of Life. In it, the basic idea I'm suggesting is that there's a kind of inherent memory in all kinds of animals and plants. Each species has its own collective memory. So each member of the species draws on this collective memory and in turn contributes to it. The instincts of animals, for example, the behavior of cuckoos, the spinning of webs by spiders, are like a memory, a habit of the species. This inheritance takes place by the process I call morphic resonance, by a kind of invisible, intangible memory, a kind of resonance between present and past organisms of the same kind. The same theory helps explain how our own memory works, by a resonance between our own past and our present states. It leads to the idea that our memories aren't stored in our brains, but that we're tuning into them by this process of morphic resonance.
So that's that notion of all is connected, and it's what Jung was speaking about
that's
the
what
mind
you go
at
on
large.
about all the time.
Listen, one of the final points here of this consistency is that your intent that you carry with you
absolutely.
is the thing that actually governs whether that experience is seen in your reality tunnel to be malevolent or benevolent or a positive or destructive experience to you, which makes complete sense. And we were listening last night to Sheldrake talking about the illusory notion, especially in the Western world, of how do we define happiness.
Yeah.
And a happiness is people who show and feel gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
That primarily is where that comes from.
Yeah.
It doesn't come from being entitled
Well,
or
entitled
arrogant.
is that's such a negative. That's such a negative force.
Which actually
entitlement and yeah. Anyway,
It gets me to one of the most important points of the lot.
What's that?
Is that children experience this phenomenon,
Mm.
like what happened there at the Ariel school,
Yeah.
very different to what adults do. They accept it much easier.
Mhm.
They don't bring in a huge amount of fear.
Well, they
and
haven't
in
been
times out of
conditioned yet, you see.
10, they actually feel like it's a natural experience.
It's been taken for granted by almost every civilization and traditional society that there are many forms of consciousness in the universe, not just ours and not just those of animals, other animals. So it's been often assumed that the entire universe is conscious. And this view of consciousness doesn't try and tie it all down to particular regions of the brain or interactions or electrical impulses going from one bit to another. It sees consciousness in a completely different way. And the reason why people in all these cultures think that there are many forms of consciousness beyond our own is because they experience them through mystical experiences, through altered states of consciousness, through
There you go.
Yeah.
And so, in many ways, look at the work of Sheldrake, especially the
It's an amazing
morphogenic
guy.
resonance.
Seriously.
Well, he was a person whose TED talk, I think, along with
know.
Graham Hancock, was completely banned.
Yeah.
I think was even injured and stabbed in the midst of not a TED talk, but one of his talks on stage. That's how much these ideas can outrage
What is
the
wrong with
academic
people?
community.
It's like if you hear
Step back-
something that you
step back
don't
from it.
like or you don't agree with, just walk away. You don't have to stab the guy. That's just crazy.
The other thing that occurs too in the post effects of people having these experiences is a massive acceleration in terms of synchronicity in their lives.
Yeah, the synchronicities always.
And the more I find you and I go deeper into the research, the more that synchronicity is around us.
Mhm,
That
mhm.
notion of the sixth sense.
Yeah.
If you're learning martial arts, you can be trained, so you can get more sensitive if someone's staring at you from behind. It's useful. If someone's staring at you from behind and they're planning to attack you, like on the predator-prey scenario, you're better off if you can feel it than if you can't feel it. Whereas if you've undergone a Western education that says that it doesn't really happen, ignore it if you feel these things, then you're not going to be so well off.
You're going to be in big trouble.
You are going to be in
How many
desperately
times
big
have you
trouble.
heard people say, I felt that there was something wrong there, but I didn't listen to myself. I didn't listen to
You've
my
got to
intuition.
grasp that intuition.
That intuition
instantly.
is in us.
Yeah.
It's and we actually push it down, we suppress it instead of like developing it and really listening to it and taking notice of it. We seem to discount it. It's like it's screaming at us, don't go there or watch out for this person. And you're like, why am I feeling that? Nah, it's all right. I'll give this person that I don't know the benefit of the doubt. Nobody, you don't give people the benefit of the doubt just like that. People have got to earn the benefit of the doubt.
That's where you've been really good in my life as security because you've got a built-in bullshit detector.
Well, it's not a
and I'm
bullshit
too
detector.
gregarious.
I
just want to
actually-
try and find love in everyone. It must be incredible insecurity in
I've
me.
had two really major instances of people, like really scary people that have come into our life, right?
Yes.
Two. You remember them?
Yes.
And I felt it so strongly, it almost hit me like a ton of bricks. And I went, oh my God, this person, because they just walked.
Warning,
Big
Will Robinson.
warning. And I said it straight away because it was just so strong in me. And not long, I did a little bit of investigating and straight away found that this person, both these people were just the worst people ever and didn't want them in my life, in our life, or anywhere near us. And I was like, absolutely right. So when I feel something like that, sometimes I feel that a bit mildly and I'm just like, okay, I'll just keep an eye on you. Or like those two times, and these people were just so destructive. It was just a nightmare people.
Okay.
You've got to listen to yourself. You've got to listen to that feeling. It's there for a reason, you know? Okay.
Thank you.
That's all right.
All right, I'm listening to you now. All right, in summation.
Yes.
What do people have to do? They have to go after this and look at that incredible podcast.
Well, they don't have to do
from
anything, but
Timothy
if they want
Alberino.
to, yep.
Yeah, please look at that to do with our jet packing
Well, they're not
aliens out of Peru. They're not jet
They're
packs at all.
hoverboards.
They have to
It's back to
take
the
into
future.
consideration every time they go to, step forward and go, that research is wrong. Maybe it's time to step back and realize there's a much wider paradigm here.
Yeah.
And all of us looking into the worlds of cryptids, anomalies, apparitions, we've already stepped over the line,
Big
humanity.
time. Big
We're,
time.
we're into a field that has been ridiculed from day one. So exercise caution with your comrades and try and see their perspective. If you can't see it, switch it off, because there's a million billion other data points of information that'll actually make your reality bubble. The prover proves what the thinker thinks. It doesn't mean you're actually onto the case and you've resolved it
But it
anyway.
doesn't mean that you're wrong either. It's just, there's a lot of different aspects to all kinds of things.
Keep an eye out for what's happening with James Fox. Look for his next post, because we all may need to step in there and support that gentleman and realize that there is incredible consistencies throughout all this research. So, olfactory alert, defying the laws of physics, your own personal intuition, the lack of noise in the environment, altered consciousness, hypnagogic states, missing time, its relationship with water, its ability to have some relationship with the weather, the intent we carry with us. And the last point that I didn't reflect on, which really reflects on you and I big time, is there seems to be at times the ability to think ahead of us, with the Tic Tacs, it was able to vector into a point that the planes hadn't gone to. So it knows what we're doing. That's
knows
why I
what
said
we're thinking.
this phenomena appears to know us better than we know ourselves.
Yeah.
But there's also the major factor that really is a metaphor for you and I.
Which is?
And that is, at moments, it can be incredibly absurd. Completely crazy. Absolutely. It's like, this is ridiculous. People seeing clowns appear in the world. Don't discount the most absurd stories.
You can't.
Make sure that people are not suffering some sort of mental health issue. But don't discount those incredible stories.
Because we don't know everything. We don't.
Okay.
We just don't.
Well, one last piece on synchronicity from Sheldrake, and then I'll explain where Sheldrake's at the moment in terms of absurdity that we need to be aware of.
Okay.
A lot of people have found that they can affect others at a distance to do things they want them to do. I've done it myself, where when I was living in India, I had some friends I needed to get in touch with. They hadn't got a telephone. I really wanted them to get in touch, and I had a very strong desire for them to ring me. And about 10 minutes later, one of this group rang me, and he said he didn't know quite why he'd rung me, he just felt the need to ring. That kind of thing's quite common. So I wouldn't exactly call it engineering synchronicity, but it's one of the ways in which hopes, intentions work telepathically to affect other people. I think that's quite common.
I think it is quite common
very
as well.
common. I mean, we all have it. You're like, oh, I was about to ring you, and it's like.
Or he's done great research into telephone telepathy.
Oh, right,
Which
okay.
is basically like 30 seconds before the phone rings, you know who's going to ring.
Yeah, right.
And you can
Okay.
feel that sense.
Wow.
We've all had that.
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
know, this notion of this word in reductionistic Western culture of intuition is it
Or they
actually,
go, that's just a coincidence, and it's like.
but intuition, is it psychic
No,
phenomena?
science would say that that's just a coincidence.
But when you ask people to define intuition,
Yeah, right.
define it for me.
Well,
It is telepathy.
Well,
it is psychic.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
look, one of the greatest things that Sheldrake now is lecturing in the later years of his life, because if we are to take on this concept that the most of the universe out there, and if we look at the work that Christopher Noel's doing, there is no veil. And all his astounding work in the field of Sasquatch, you know, the autistic savant hypothesis. I love the work of Christopher Noel. Go and seek his channel out, Impossible Visits. The work that Alex Sonomi has done with us, even Orban there from Rando Nordica, is that we're all connected. And the universe that we consider to be material, the majority of it is immaterial. It is dark matter, it is dark energy. All those waves are radiating. There are electromagnetic waves, and they're a pool we dip into.
Are you speaking Greek at the moment?
But you know where...
You're using your hands a lot.
Yeah. But you know where we're going with this? With
where
Sheldrake?
Are we going with it?
And you need to check this lecture out.
Oh, yeah.
Is the sun conscious?
Oh, yeah, that was amazing.
And so the whole notion that the most active sphere that we actually, Copernicus told us, and was basically brutalized to his death there, and then forgiven 300 years later. Thank you to the Catholic Church.
That makes that
the
helps him a
center
lot.
of our known universe,
Yes,
our solar system. Is this huge ball of extraordinary electromagnetic activity that we found out last night is actually should be a lot louder than what it is.
Wasn't that amazing?
And it is placed in such an incredible spot to be so effective to this planet. You know, a couple more 100,000 kilometers right or left
wouldn't have worked.
We would have been in
we
big
wouldn't
trouble.
have been here. We
Has
wouldn't have been here.
like the moon been wheeled into place?
Well, that's
anyway.
Don't go there.
Is that the brain? Is that
there's somebody
the cloud?
Yeah, I know.
Is that the
cloud where we're
point
storing
of
our
human
consciousness? Oh my God! Anyway,
so when you think about it, the light of the sun is the light of God.
Whoa!
Right?
Yep. Well, that's what. Yeah.
The truth, the light,
and the way. I am the truth, the light, and the way. That's what he says.
We should maybe be taking these stories literally and not metaphorically.
Well, here's the thing with the Bible. Sometimes they take it metaphorically and other times they take it literally. And it's like, well, how do you know when to take it which way? You know, it's all got to be either one way or the other way, or it's got to be both ways.
Do you know that all Christian churches are orientated to the east? For the light of the sun to bathe the altar at the beginning of the day.
Okay, there you go.
Solar orientation, they call it in religious circles.
Yeah.
What about in Greek culture when you light the flame, the candle on someone's death and remembrance? And is it death, or are they talking about the cycle of the underworld?
It's my dad's 4th anniversary today that he died. Okay.
Now, let's talk about this.
What?
When we go into darkness,
yes,
we actually don't die. We go into the underworld.
Right.
And the underworld is where we embrace all the anomalous activity, the cryptids, the demons.
Yeah.
So we can rise the next day as we bathed in the light
of this
incredible cerebral brain where all our consciousness exists.
Right.
To challenge the world, prepared because we have dealt with the demons, we have dealt with the cryptids, we have dealt with the ghosts, we have dealt with the aliens in our sleep, in the darkness that is the underworld, that we assume, literally speaking, is death, but is metaphorically our training ground to come back into the three-dimensional world and survive as stronger and fitter people.
Okay. So is death just a long sleep?
Well, death could be just a long sleep, but, you know, do we really die?
Well, do we?
I don't think we do.
If you
know, everyone that touched my heart,
lives,
I speak to every day.
I know you do.
Which I need to actually get to right now.
Yeah,
we
you
need
didn't
to get
do it this morning. Yep.
Yeah, we need to get it set up.
All right, well, that's what we've got.
What an incredibly absurd, bizarre program that is.
No, not really.
I hope you enjoyed it.
Actually.
If you did, please put a thumb up and leave a comment. If you didn't, don't say a
don't
word.
Say anything. Just walk away.
You've been on Down South Anomalies. It's episode 55. Aspasia, I adore you deeply.
I adore you too.
I love you so much.
Our
memories
we
and our
really
love for each other.
We are thankful for you guys, everybody that tunes in every week.
Aren't we
or
ever?
whenever.
Charlotte,
Yeah.
Uncle Bones.
Yeah.
There's so many great people out
Yeah.
there. Malcolm, we're thinking of you.
Yeah.
We've been so caught up. We will get to everyone before Xmas hits.
Well, we get
One more and
to
love.
people in our, we're always thinking about these people. You know what I mean?
In our day-to-day
that support
lives.
us. We're thankful and grateful for their
Yeah.
presence in our life, even if it is, on the internet, in this in cyberspace. They're still there because
We hope we've given you some things to think about, and if we haven't, we'll just switch off this cast and never come back to it. Anyway, you've been on Untold Radio, and we are honored and humbled by your presence, and we love this provider. We will catch you all next week,
We will.
hopefully with our interview subjects.
Yeah, okay.
Take good care.
Bye.